And there's only one thing I wish for, that noble committee finally gets its act together and realizes that you are the single finest candidate since this Nobel Award was ever talked about to receive that reward. Beyond your success is game-changing out in the world today. And I hope everybody one day wakes up and realizes that.
That was Steve Witkoff, Trump's special envoy for the Middle East, making the case that Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. But beyond the shameless fawning that has become a calling card for these cabinet meetings, there's actually something worth pointing out here. Donald Trump ran as the candidate for peace. He said he would get rid of warmongers and end the war in Ukraine on day one of his second term, and quickly end the conflict in the Middle East. But what has Donald Trump done in the 230 days since he's become president? He's declared war. Not only has he launched a trade war that's raising costs and making life unaffordable for the middle class, not only has he deployed armed National Guard units in Los Angeles and DC, with Chicago next on the list, Trump has waged war on our very system of government, raking in billions of dollars through crypto scams that make him, his family, and his friends even richer. Trump's budget will cost the poorest 10% of Americans $1,200 a year on average. And while nursing homes and rural hospitals are staring down closures thanks to his budget cuts, Trump just gave the richest people in America another gigantic tax break. In short, Donald Trump's administration is a direct assault on the values that we all share. And as he makes it official by renaming the Department of Defense to the Department of War, Democrats are answering the call. We're not going to let Trump's blatant lies and corruption go unanswered. I'm Hannah Muldaven, Deputy Communications Director for the Democrats, and your host for today. It's Monday, September 8th. Happy birthday, Dad. And this is the Democrats' Daily Blueprint. When Trump signed the executive order renaming the Department of Defense to the Department of War, he was asked how much his little vanity project was going to cost. His answer? Not a lot. We know how to rebrand without going crazy. But of course, this is a lie. Estimates put the cost of renaming the Department of Defense at hundreds of millions of dollars or more. No one tell his Department of Government Efficiency. And just like all of the other rage bait and performative stunts that Trump has pulled, whether it's renaming the Gulf of Mexico or trying to reopen Alcatraz, this is the latest loyalty test for Republicans in Congress. Instead of putting a check on Donald Trump, Republican representatives and senators are falling over themselves trying to please their leader. Gone are the days when Republicans stood for limited government and free markets. Now it's just Trump saying jump and Republicans saying how high. But all of this has real consequences. The more that Trump turns the screws on Republicans, including his efforts to redraw congressional maps in order to pick up more seats because of his unpopular agenda, it's clear that the more Trump takes, the more Republicans are willing to give. And if they're not going to stand up to him, then it falls on us, all of us, to stand up and fight back. Take, for example, the all-out assault on public health that's taking place under Trump. His health secretary, RFK Jr., is on record pushing vaccine conspiracy theories and cutting essential medical research. In his appearance last week before the Senate Finance Committee, RFK Jr. doubled down.
And now the American Academy of Pediatrics has warned that the committee is being politicized at the expense of children's health. American Academy of Pediatrics, you think they're lying too?
I think the American Academy of Pediatrics is gravely conflicted. They get their biggest contributors are the four largest vaccine makers. They run a journal, Pediatrics, which they make a lot of money on, that is completely dependent on pharmaceutical companies. So I wouldn't put a big stake in what they say that benefits pharmaceutical interests.
Attacking qualified medical experts like those in his own department and firing the CDC director is putting Americans across the country at risk. That's why governors like Kathy Hochul in New York are protecting access to the COVID vaccine. It's why California, Oregon, and Washington have joined forces and launched a health alliance to protect residents who are at risk because of the decisions of this administration. And it's why state attorneys general are suing this administration and winning in court. In fact, a recent analysis found that states with Democratic attorneys general have successfully restored federal CDC grant funding, with nearly 80% of grants restored in blue states. Democratic candidates are joining in this effort to fight back. So far this year, Democrats have won or overperformed in 41 out of 42 key elections. We need to keep the pressure up and keep building momentum through November and into next year's midterms. And we do have elections coming up this year in 2025, so we're spotlighting candidates as a lead up to those November elections. For today's candidate spotlight, we're shining a light on Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill, who's running for governor in New Jersey. As a former naval officer and federal prosecutor, Congresswoman Sherrill knows what it takes to protect our national security and bring down the costs for New Jersey families. To make sure that the governor's office in New Jersey stays blue and that Democrats win up and down the ballot, the DNC is pouring an initial $1.5 million investment into the New Jersey Coordinated Campaign, one of our largest and earliest in the cycle. But we can't do it alone. If you're looking for ways to get involved, make calls, knock doors, or volunteer with the Sherrill campaign, go to mobilize.us/Mikey Sherrill for governor. You can find the link in our video description below. Thanks for joining us today for this episode of the Daily Blueprint. We'll be right here with you every weekday at 10 a.m. Eastern on the DNC's YouTube page. Until tomorrow.